1. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, if you think about the average person living in a rural developing country, there's a reason in terms of why they choose hospitality, which is part and parcel of the service industry, simply because it's a low barrier to enter and they can make a lot of money. Even if it means having to sacrifice your life and have to go abroad and live away and build a new life there, only to send money back to your family every month, is exactly what motivates our side of the house. Don't let side opposition lie and gaslight you in terms of saying that we limited this debate only to the Philippines. If you check your notes, a lot of what our examples did cut across other countries as well, like Bangladesh, Thailand, and Vietnam. It's just like calling us out and saying, oh, we only responded to your idea of Bangladesh. Let's not debate that way. A lot of the things that their side claims are largely assertions and jumpy logic because they spam a lot of impacts. But the long and short of it is, a lot of what they say is outcome dependent on doing this manufacturing well and succeeding with that regard. That's why in the DEP and WHIP speech, they gave you like 14 ideas in terms of how it can be done. And that simply ties back to our case that it's not a risk we're willing to do because there are so many uncertainties in having to do manufacturing. Why can their side not take this debate? Firstly, it's because a lot of their claims are largely under-mechanized and the impacts were largely not tied back to. Yes, labor is cheap, agriculture is nascent, but they're blind to a lot of realities that we consistently told you throughout our side. A, the geographical location and reason as to why we don't have developed agriculture. Because of things like earthquakes and typhoons that plague us half the year, these are very reasons why we don't want to get involved in it. Sure, I agree with Deb that it would be beautiful to own stake in these production as opposed to having to import and all of those things. But the reality is that whether we have that manufacturing or not, it's susceptible to a lot of these elements and uncertainties wherein we rather focus on our strengths and be able to outsource what we do well, which is service, when we go abroad and be able to find those opportunities. B is on the idea of the upside of remittances, which is really important. There's an upside in terms of remittances precisely because a lot of these people who work abroad and do service send a lot of that money back home, meaning that's where we unlock a lot of our benefits, which are just relatively easier since they've already been doing it. And very clearly, coming from our first speaker, we told you why we rather double down on what's working as opposed to trying and figure out something that is nascent and hasn't been done. The second idea is in terms of a lot of the harms they posit can just really be solved without having to invest in manufacturing. A, the idea and problem PM had about tech and lack of Wi-Fi. We can outsource that or have a joint venture with the Japanese or Koreans to be able to build that. We don't have to make that ourselves. B, this whole weird idea on farming and agrarian reform, we just simply import more, bro, because other countries have a surplus. That's how it works. It might not be the best. I'd love for us to be able to make our own rice and have control over it. But the reality of the situation is that, yes, labor is cheap, but IP or all of the money that they claim to have on their side just magically won't happen. Look at your notes when I talk to you about debt traps and how a lot of these have just high interest rates and long-term payback periods. The long and short of it, ladies and gentlemen, is in terms of burden fulfillment, in terms of what we're really talking about, and the harms of manufacturing as opposed to the upside you get from service. We told you we're already doing it well. We want to be able to grow that in order to protect the competitive advantage we have and not spread ourselves too thinly when we try and do things which are very risky and can lead to failure, harming the average person. We are very proud to take this debate.
Thank you very much for that speech. Thank everyone for